It's cold. Compared to the weather we've had, the temperatures, this feels cold. So how did you two find out about this?
I've heard it talked about just around.
Oh,
I
okay.
definitely check it out.
Oh.
I just saw the pyramid and was curious.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. You don't look old enough to be a teacher up at the U.
I'm 32.
Sheesh. Wow. Are you you're from Cali?
Yeah.
And you are?
Originally from Arizona.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where?
Prescott, up north.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Just noticing your shirt. I like that band.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, she's from Tennessee, right?
I am indeed.
Nashville. You go to school there, I assume. Does your family live there?
My family lives in New York.
Oh, so you're kind of all over. Do you have brothers or sisters?
I have one sister who currently is living in Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of spread out. My family was as well. Yeah, yeah. My dad was moved around. He was plant managers for different well, it used to be Armor Meat Packing, and then it went to something else. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, all right. So welcome to Summum. We usually start the class by ringing this bowl and do a brief silent meditation. We'll do the same thing when we end, and then we'll get started. So, I usually like to preface this. Well, first of all, on nights when we have new people like you are, we just introduce you briefly to Summum, let you know how it got started if you haven't researched us already, and talk about the principles that guide Summum, or actually they're just creation or nature's principles. And Summum is not a philosophy that tries to coerce you into being, that you have to join us if you're going to be saved or whatever, because we don't even dwell in that. Okay? Summum is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are considered a church. Okay? We are a church. We don't function like any church you will ever go to. We don't say we're going to save you somehow. That's up to you. You're the person that can do that, not us. We don't tell you that you have to join us because we're the only way or the right way. Summum is a philosophy that believes that all religions, all paths, no matter what they are correct for those that are involved in those paths. Why would you be in something that you didn't feel comfortable in, or that you felt like you didn't, if you weren't learning anything about yourself, why would you be involved in it? They are also, paths. I mean, churches are great. They teach you how to hopefully deal with your neighbor, to be kind to them, hopefully. That's the hope. And so anyway, I just like to let people know we're not trying to talk you into anything. We're just giving you information. And we talk about the principles. The three of us will talk about a principle, and from our perspective of it. It doesn't mean that you would have the same perspective of it if you were to read the principle and engage in learning about it. So everyone has a unique perspective because of the way you've been brought up, your unique circumstances in life, and so everyone's perspective is correct. And all religions are correct. All paths are correct. It doesn't matter where you are in your path and your journey in life. It's perfect wherever you are. And the only reason that it wouldn't be is because you didn't feel satisfied with where you were at, and so you decided to make a change. And change is always good. It's one of the main things in life, right? The only thing that you can count on is change. Everything is going to change. You change every day. You're not the same person every day. None of us are. And so that's kind of how Summum functions. We don't tell you that if you do this, you're going to be sent to hell. Or if you're good, whatever that is, you go to heaven. That's not how Summum feels. We say, if you understand the principles and learn them, you know how to behave, you know how to act, you know how to be kind to your neighbor already because of the principles that we will discuss, which are simply, like I said, nature's principles. They function throughout the cosmos and throughout the universes. Notice I said universes. There are many billions upon billions of universes. We are one small universe. So that's kind of what we do here. We like to just let you know what Summum is about, how we function. And then on nights that we have people that have come back or are not new, we like to read other philosophies and other masters' works, because it's interesting to find out that all philosophies and religions are really saying the same thing. They are based upon the principles of creation, all of them. All masters have talked about them. I mean, we've read the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching. We've read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I mean, we have read many, many books. We've read from Gurdjieff, we've read Osho, we've read Buddha, And it's interesting to hear their take on philosophy and on the principles, because they all mention them. Every single one of them is mentioned by them. And they are told in a way that the people who were around these particular people could understand them. They would tell parables, they would tell stories, so that they could understand where they were coming from, so that they could understand the principle, hopefully. Sometimes the principle gets lost in the story, but that's what their hope was. And so, we like to investigate, I guess you could say, different religions. And so that's kind of how we run our classes. So Summum, like I said, is a 501c3. It was founded in 1975 by Summum Bonum Amun Ra, or Corky. We called him because that was his name growing up, and that's what he liked to be called, was Corky. And this is Corky. He is in the mumma form. You'll notice we have a lot of cat statues. These are actually mummies. There are mummies inside each one of these. Also the dogs. Because one of the tenets that that Corky was asked to do was to begin the process of modern mummification. He had an encounter in 1975 by what he called extracelestial beings. And they are beings that he called the Summa individuals. And they are the ones that actually came to Corky, visited Corky many times actually, and introduced him to the Summum philosophy and told him about the principles and certain things that he needed to initiate at this time. One of them was to build this pyramid, like I said, to begin mummification, to teach meditation. Now, in 75, you have to remember, in 75, you guys are too young to remember that. But in 75, meditation, when it was over in this country anyway, was not a popular word. My parents, when I told them I'd learned transcendental meditation when I was in college, did not like that. That Eastern philosophy, they said, and it was like, oh dear, okay, well, I'm doing it anyway. I guess you could say. I just went ahead and, meditated. It was one of the best things I ever did for myself, was to learn meditation, because it brought me peace. And so Corky began, the process of teaching the meditation and teaching us how to teach the meditation to other people. He was giving classes up at the University of Utah and reintroducing the principles, which was another thing that the Summa individuals told him to do, because over time the principles had become degenerated and only part of the principle was being taught, or they were using it in a way to enrich themselves. So he started to teach the principles. And he was told also to make the nectars of publication, which are alcoholic. And we take a small amount. It is like our sacrament, if you want to relay it to, think about it in a way like that. We take a small amount before we meditate. And it helps settle the mind. We make it here in the pyramid, and we meditate on it and infuse a vibration into it of the meditation, so that it helps anyone learning the meditation can calm themselves down in order to meditate, quiet their mind, which is the function of meditation, is to be in the nothing, to enjoy being with no thought and at peace, because that's where it is. Our thoughts are what cause chaos in us, the chaos of the mind. And so, so Corky started doing that, and like I said, I heard him speak at the university in a lecture, and was interested. I have to say that some of the things he said, I was like skeptical. Mummification, what I thought when he said the extra celestial, I thought aliens. I mean, you know, and so anyway, because of my background, I'm just Christian church. You know, I had to go to church every Sunday, Sunday school, Bible school, whatever, everything that you're expected to do when you go to church. At least my parents thought that that was what I needed to do, and it was fine. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot, you know, and so anyway, I listened to Corky further and felt like it was something that touched me. And so that's why I'm here. So that's my story. These guys have different stories. And everybody comes to it in their own way. Something grabs you and says, oh yeah, that sounds good. You know, I mean, I like that. So anyway, we will start with just talking about the principles of summum, and there are 7 principles that emanate from what is called the grand principle of creation. And the grand principle states, and you won't find this principle, the grand principle, in any other book except the summum book. It was the principle that the Summa individuals gave to Corky, and it talks about how things all came to be, why you're here, where God came from. All of that is found within the grand principle if you study it. And actually, it's not really mentally studying, it's just a feeling you have. And you read the words and you allow yourself to just relax and open your mind up. But the grand principle states that nothing in possibility come in and out of bond an infinite number of times in a finite moment. And this causes a huge vibrational big bang. And this is what causes all the universes, multiple, and it is never ending. We've heard of the Alpha and the Omega. They are the same. Beginning and the end, they are all the same thing. And it's never ending. And so this Big Bang sets up all of these principles. From that, the 7 principles of nature, of creation, come about. Excuse me. And those 7 are psychokinesis, correspondence, vibration, opposition, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. And we will discuss those here tonight with you. We'll just tell you a little bit about them. So, you know, everybody in the world has what's called their attention. I'm sure everybody has heard that word, attention. Pay attention, right? Pay attention. Yeah, okay? And your attention is where you are. Whatever you put your attention on, there you are. And most of the time, for the majority of us, our attention is focused outwardly to everything out here. What's going on? Oh my God, it's so hot. Oh, look what's going on in the world. Look at all these fires. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the TV, the phone that everybody's so addicted to. That's where your attention, most of us have our attention focused. That's one side of you. There is an opposite side to you, and that is what's inside you. Didn't Christ say the kingdom of heaven is within, whatever? You know, I mean, there is an essence that you all have. But how many of us focus on that? or put our attention on it so that we balance and become more of a complete person. Because if you've heard anything in the world today, you hear that it's important to have mind, body, spirit balance. But most of us are way out of balance because most of us focus more on the physical or the mental, but very little time do we spend on the spirituality. Now, I'm not saying that you aren't, but I'm saying most people are not focused on that. And that's where the meditation comes in. Because as soon as I began to meditate, I started to realize there was more to me than just this thing that I move around in. And this thing is going to go away, as I am realizing as I get older and older. Sorry, guys, you're going to die one day. Sorry if nobody's told you that. I mean, that's one of the things that I was so grateful to Corky for, because he did not shy away from talking about death and dying and getting ready to make that journey, that transition from this life to the next. That's what the mummification is about, to make a journey and be aware of where you're headed and to plan for that trip that you're going to take at the end of your lives. And so that was one of the things, one of the gifts, I guess you could say, that I was given by this master. And so anyway, the 7 principles. The first one is psychokinesis. Summum is mind. The universe is a mental creation. Summum. And the other aphorism states that mind, as well as metal and elements, may be altered psychokinetically from state to state, degree to degree, proportion to proportion, condition to condition, point to point, vibration to vibration. Psychokinesis is mental mastery, summum. So let's just say you want to create something. Where does that begin? Where would you begin the process? Let's say you're making your paper, your research paper. Where do you get started? How do you get started on that paper? What do you do? After the research, I guess you decided you were going to do research.
I start where it's easiest, frankly. That it's already sort of there.
Okay, in your,
Writes itself.
it comes through your mind.
Sure.
Okay. So Corky, some individuals, when they talked to Corky about psychokinesis, they said, creation creates in a manner similar to you. It starts mentally first, and then it unfolds almost at the same time as the thought. For us, we have to go through all these steps, right? You have to plan all these different steps in order for something to be created, usually. You have to get all the materials gathered together. You have to write whatever questions or whatever before you get started. And then you begin the process of creating whatever it is. But every creative process starts in the mind first. And so that is how Corky was told about psychokinesis and the way that creation creates. And summum is just a word that means sum total of all. And if you want to replace summum with the word God, that's fine. We just use the word summum because it's more inclusive for us. And so you can use psychokinesis in a way, that second part talks about the fact that you can change a condition or a vibration by using psychokinesis, by mentally putting your attention on what it is you decide you wish to be or where you want to place yourself. You put yourself there. it takes a lot of will to keep yourself there. Like, for instance, if you have something you don't like about yourself, a habit or a propensity, if you want to call it that, something about you that you wish to change, and you've probably all done this in your lives. You made a decision, you looked at it mentally, you decided, oh, I seem to be doing this all the time, and I really am not pleased with that. Let's just say smoking. Let's just take that, okay? You want to try to quit smoking, right? So you would have to set your sights on not smoking, right? And you would take whatever steps you needed to, but you also mentally have to make sure that you don't keep falling back, which is usually what happens. I mean, I have students, I have been a teacher up at the University of Utah in the music department, in the prep division of that. And I know that students, when they get something going and they come back and I say, well, you need to perhaps change this just a little bit, or you're not quite fingering this the right way, or it needs to have this little a better balance between the hands, or whatever, you know, and they come back to me and they've practiced it a certain way and it's still the same. And I would say, try again, basically. You didn't hear what I had to say. Let's try this again. Although I said it a little more forcefully. But, and so I would tell them, you need to stand back, away from what you are doing, and observe what you're doing, and listen to what you're doing, and make the changes. Because you now have a habit, sorry about the word, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You have a habit of playing it a certain way now. Now you've got to go rip up those tracks, and you have to do it a little differently now because you have not done it quite correctly yet. And so they had to use their mentality. And the thing about the meditation is it allows you to step away momentarily from what you are doing and to hopefully gain a little more control over what you're doing. So psychokinesis can be a very helpful tool to help you overcome things that you aren't maybe necessarily happy about yourself. So that's psychokinesis a little bit. I mean, there's a lot more to it. Okay, so we are just touching on the surface of these principles. All right, correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above, summum. Ron?
Oh, me, okay. Correspondence, it's really interesting. I mean, all of these principles you guys already know and use, but a lot of times we don't see how it adjusts in our life and how you can step back and see how it's actually affecting you, you know? And correspondence is very interesting. There is a word that everybody says constantly. It's called like, right? It's like this, it's like that, right? Somebody's having a conversation, they might say it 10 times in one little paragraph or whatever. And what's happening is when you talk to a friend and you've had an experience, you know, you went on a trip or whatever experience you had, and you want to relate to him, it's your friend, right? You know him, you know where he's coming from, and so you say it's like, and then you would explain it in a particular way that he would relate, right? Now, if you went and talked to your parents, and I don't know what the experience was, but if you went and talked to somebody else, you know who you're talking to, and you would say it's like, and then you would express yourself in that particular way, right? And so correspondence, we use it all the time in order to relate to different things. And what's really interesting is that all masters, when giving this information, and this information is ancient, I mean, this has been around forever. You can find books on the 7 principles, Kabbalion, there's a lot of books written on it. I mean, it goes way back to Moses' time. Anyway, what's really interesting is that as they're explaining those particular principles, They have to tell you a story, like I'm telling you a story now, right? And a lot of times the stories become really important in the way you explain them. Underlying principle is the same. And so you might not like the way I'm explaining it. And so you would like to explain it a different way. And before you know it, you'd have two different ways of explaining the exact same principles. And so religions start separating, right? They've all got the same thing. And if you look at all religions, they're all talking about the same thing. They tell you stories, they give you a book, and it's got parables in it, right? And all they are stories, right? In order to relay a principle, you know, doing to others, you'd have you doing to you, you know, they're all in there. And so correspondence is used in everything, and we always use it too. It's like that, right? Anyway.
Next one, vibration. Everything rests. I'm sorry, nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Summum.
So, do you guys get into cosmology at all? Well, yeah. So, I mean, the predominant theory is this Big Bang that occurred, right? 14 billion years ago. And the scientists tell us that, you know, at that moment existed this singularity of infinite heat and infinite density. It's an infinite vibration is what it is. And out of that vibration, a universe is born. You know, infinite universes are born. That's the vibration produced by what Sue talks about. Nothing and possibility come in and out of bond infinite times in a finite moment. An infinite vibration. It's really interesting, too, the cosmologists now. You know, Corky was talking, you know, in classes when I was listening to him about how the universe came from nothing. And then I remember reading an article headline back in 2000. Stephen Hawking is working on a theory to explain how the universe came from nothing. Now, that's interesting. And that's the predominant theory now, that the universe came from nothing in cosmology. But they're nothing, they refer to this quantum foam, right? But anyway, these two grand opposites join together and break apart, and join together and break apart infinite times in a finite moment. And this intense vibration beyond our comprehension takes place, and out of that vibration, the universe is born. And everything within the universe then is an aspect of that infinite vibration. And so everything has a vibration to it. If you look at light, you've got different frequencies of light. Electromagnetic radiation, sound is a vibration. The way you feel is a vibration. Things going on in the planet, everything has a vibration to it. You look at a picture, the combination of the colors and the design and everything, that has a vibration to it. And if you start paying attention to your own vibration, how many times have you woken up in the morning and you're dragging ass? Right? And how many times have you had to pull yourself up by your straps and motivate yourself? Through psychokinesis, you're altering your vibration. Is what you're doing. And if we use correspondence, that tells us that everything is related because it all comes from the same creation. Everything has a vibration to it. And when you create something, write a paper, create a painting or whatever, your mental energy goes into that creation. Your mental energy is the essence of that creation. And it has a vibration to it. Creation, we are all creations of creation. And so creation, in the mind of creation, it's an aspect of its mental essence goes into each one of us and is within each one of us. And that essence has a vibration to it. And you can learn to be able to tune into that vibration, into its silence. That's what the meditation does. And as you do that, you start to develop what they call spiritual psychokinesis. And you start to look at life differently and start to experience life differently. And it's a very profound thing that happens. But anyway, just watch the world, watch your own life. You can see the vibration going on. You can walk into a room with a bunch of people and you can feel the vibe. You can tell when somebody's in a bummer, or you can tell when somebody has a real excitement on. Corky was really good at changing a room's vibration. He was a very uppity person. He could take a vibration of a room and bring it up, and everybody was just having a good time enjoying themselves. He was that type of person. And I'm sure you've met people that have done that, but they're all changing a vibration using psychokinesis. So anyway, that's a little bit about vibration.
The next two, the principle of opposition, everything is dual. Everything has an opposing point. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes bond. All truths are but partial truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Summum. And rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its season. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing expresses itself in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Summum. So we all know about opposition, right? Everything has an opposite. Can you think of anything that doesn't have an opposite? And if you can't think of it, you just haven't looked at it hard enough, because everything has an opposite, whether you see it or not. But opposites need each other in order to create balance, which is what creation wants to achieve, is balance. You need hot in order to understand cold. You need up in order to understand down. If you didn't have those two, you wouldn't know one thing from another. Would you say that's partially correct? They're the same event. They're just different degrees of that event. Let's just say temperature. Same event, hot and cold. They are actually the same thing. They're both temperature. And it depends upon you where your perspective is, whether you think something's hot or whether you think something is cold. And you can move to a middle point where it's neither. It's just comfortable. And it doesn't feel hot, but then you can move yourself over and maybe slide into hot. Or you can move yourself over and slide into cold. But they're just vibrating differently. Hot vibrates at a faster rate than cold. We all know this. Have you ever noticed that sometimes, like now, this day, because it's a little cooler than those 100-degree temperatures we've been having, feels cool. Feels almost cold. Only because your perspective, you're not used to this temperature yet. And then when spring happens, you've been so used to cold that 50 sounds warm or seems warmer, so does 60. Those temperatures, so they fluctuate, right? There isn't necessarily one thing that is right, because two things can be correct at the same time. For someone, something's hot. For that same thing, for someone else, is cold. And they're both correct, those perspectives. And you can learn to immerse yourself in whatever part of that you wish, if you know how to do it. And that's the key. The meditation is part of that, but just observing nature and looking at nature. Watch the seasons: fall, spring, winter, summer, They all have to balance out. It doesn't seem like that now. It seems like our climate is all screwed up, but that usually is what happens. You know, they balance each other out. Nature wants things to be balanced. And rhythm is another interesting part of that because you will swing from one side to the other. Most of us swing from a real high to a low that's of equal distance that the high was. Because Newton's which third law is it? That, what?
I didn't think offhand.
You know, anything that you do is going to cause some kind of a reaction equal to the push that you gave it, right? How does that go? Dang it. Equal and opposite
For every
reaction.
action, there's an equal and opposite.
Yeah, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's true. Everything is going to come into balance at some point because of rhythm. And you can neutralize that swing if you learn to rise above the ordinary level of cause and effect. And that rhythmic swing, you can learn to neutralize it so you don't swing from the high down to the low, but you can learn to place yourself, immerse yourself, neutralize that swing by rising to a higher level. And that is something that you learn how to do using the principles and watching. Because most, like Ron said, you've all used these principles. You just have sometimes not realized it. Because as you get older and older, some of the things that you used to do, that you love to do, you decide, well, maybe I don't want to push that quite so far over to the uncomfortable side. I think I'd rather stay a little more in the medium side. Not that the swings are bad, they're good, they're whatever. There is no good or bad. That's just a perspective. But, you know, you decide, I mean, you've learned from those swings that you don't want to do that anymore, maybe so much, that you'd rather be in the middle more, where you don't have those major swings and neutralize them to your own benefit and peace of mind. Because to be swung constantly in your life in that chaos is so uncomfortable. I mean, I remember performing, and that swing of when you've had a good performance, that real high, and then afterwards, because it's like, well, now what? There's this low that comes in, and it's like, yeah? Have you experienced that? Any of you? Yeah? Okay, so see, we all do it. So sometimes it's nice to know that you can balance that out a bit, you know? And like I said, experience is the best teacher anyway. We all know that. Okay, the next one, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is just a name for law not recognized. There are many fields of causation, but nothing escapes the law of destiny. Summum.
Cause and effect. Oh boy. Obviously, you've all learned that in science, right? All that stuff. And you go do something, things you do in the world has an effect. And all these different religious philosophies that are on the planet, especially, are trying to help each other coexist in a beautiful way and move forward in your spiritual evolution, right? I mean, that's sort of their gist. And has anybody had like a deja vu or something like that? Deja vu, okay? Well, someone believes in reincarnation or a spiritual progression, okay? And so the next time you have one, you might as well say hi to your old self, you know? Because what's interesting is that if there is a flow of evolution, of consciousness, and we're all looking to move on that, whether it's going to a heaven world or whatever happens, you can name it whatever, because they're all there, because it's your life. You know, it's not my life. You've got your life and your heaven. You know, it's not mine. It's what you feel is your space and what you predict it to be. And so what's really interesting is that from time to time, I know I find myself all of a sudden just feeling really good, you know, not happy, but, you know, just sitting around and just having a cup of coffee or something and just feel good, right? Don't we all run into that occasionally, you know, right? Bump into it. Now that's the real hello you. That's where you exist. And we go out into the world, and what's interesting, you know, I do the same thing all the time, is we get involved in something. You're driving down the road and somebody almost runs you off the road, right? Kind of pisses you off, right? Or you go to work or whatever and somebody says something or does something all of a sudden. And what happens is, a lot of times we think, I was in a good mood and you took it away from me, you know? You're a bad dog, you know? The reality, that's impossible. You have to give it away. It's yours, isn't it? It belongs to you. It doesn't belong to somebody else. And if somebody offends you, you can get mad and say, what a piece of butt, right? What an ass. Okay. But they allow that to suck you in, right? You know? And go to bed at night and get all worried about it and all that, you know? I mean, what's the word of worship? When you worship something, you really put your head on it and you really pay attention to it. Thou shalt not worship but God, right? It's an old saying, one of the 10. Anyway, and you lay in bed and you're sitting there doing what? You're devoting all of your attention to something that you don't like, right? Rewrite it or whatever, you know? And you're taking yourself away from a very good spot. I mean, the reality of your evolutionary path has landed you in heaven. There's a good quarter of the population when they go to bed at night and dream about heaven. Being able to live free, have your kids be safe, have an education you want, drive a car in some place that can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And you can walk into a Costco, anything you want, it's there. So you've arrived. You know, you might want gold streets or some shit like that, and angels following you around and tipping your tea or whatever. But the reality is you've arrived. And have anybody played video games or anything like that? Get involved in it, right? You get an avatar, right? And you pick the avatar that is best suited. You play the game. You might adjust your avatar, right? Might be a boy avatar, might be a girl avatar, right? And you pursue in the game, and you run into stuff, right? And it knocks you out. Well, what happens? You learn about it, right? And you get back in the game. You might change your avatar or whatever. And as you go, you get better and better at doing this thing, right? We do this. And what's interesting, like Sue says, the things that we learn most about ourselves are going through the toughest things that we've had to face, right? Those are the push-ups. Now, for me, it makes sense that I don't think somebody has designed my life. I mean, whose responsibility is it to put me in heaven? You know, I must have done something to get here. What you have is an opportunity to work on your spirituality. And if you're in a video game, the toughest things you start learning. It's like, this is your life. And someone believes that that's why there's not a lot of people here, because everything in your life is your fault. You can't blame it on daddy. It's your fault, because someone believes you created the path to take on for you to learn to move on down through your spiritual evolution, right? You're going to do a job or you want to compete in something, you go to the gym and you do the workout. Right? You don't get pissed off at the weights and stuff like that. You ran into something, it pisses you off, you got to step back a little bit, but what am I going to learn here? Am I learning to control my consciousness, like Sue said, about your vibe and stuff, right? It's your life. You can give that beautiful space away. All the religions talk about this stuff, you know, doing together, make heaven on earth. And judge not, you be judged. That is a very touchy one, because if you judge something, how are you going to move on in evolutions if that's holding you back? It's a thing. And that thing isn't welcome down the road, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole different sort of vibe. And so, easiest way to do it is walk a mile in my shoes. Become what you've judged, right? Wow, that would really hurt you in a lifetime or two. Be interesting. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I'm sorry for
You're fine.
rambling on about stuff. I apologize.
Come
I
on.
do.
Anyway. I was thinking when he said heaven or hell, my son, I had a conversation with him today, and he lives in California. And he's in a place where the road is right there, right out in front. And he hears it constantly. And he said, well, if I go to hell, that road's coming with me. I just had to laugh, my God. It was just so funny. The principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all levels. Summum.
So gender has to do with creation, when something is created. The word gender comes from, I don't know, a Latin root that means creation, regeneration, right? And whenever a creation takes place, there is a masculine and a feminine principle that are involved to bring the creation about. And an example is when a man and a woman conceive a child. The masculine principle is a principle that directs energy. It's a projecting, directing energy. And the feminine principle is an energy that takes that masculine principle, receives it, and then takes it and does the active work to bring the creation about. And gender is at work everywhere. Anytime you create something or something is created, those two principles are there. And it may not necessarily be obvious, but if you look at it close, you can see something is projecting, you can see something is receiving. I'm guessing you guys stick stuff in test tubes?
Sure.
The test tube is the female, and your little thing is the male. And you stick something in there, and it goes in there, and a creation comes about, and you analyze it, right? When you have a conversation with somebody, when you're brainstorming results, the masculine and the feminine are going back and forth. You may say something to him. You're the masculine projecting to him. He takes what you say, and he formulates opinions and ideas and thoughts in his mental womb about what you said. So he's the feminine and creates these ideas about what you're looking at, right? And then he may respond back to you with what he thought of, and now he becomes the male, and you become the female. Back and forth, back and forth. This, what we're going on right now, this discussion, you know, we're the masculine projecting, you're the feminine listening. When you look at your smartphone, the light coming out is the masculine, comes into your mental womb, and it generates a response. Oh, it says tap here to continue, right? And then you press it, and you're the masculine, and the phone receives that masculine energy, and then it creates a response. So back and forth, the masculine and the feminine are always happening whenever something is created. You know, in psychology, they talk about the left and right brain hemispheres and what's going on there, right? And that's a result of possibility could be regarded as the masculine, and it projects itself into the feminine womb of nothingness. You know, the cosmologists again say that they say the universe is expanding. Well, what is it expanding into? It's expanding into nothing, right? And so just watch life, you know, watch yourself. You know, when you're driving down the road, you're driving down the freeway and you're paying attention to the signs. That light coming from the sign is the masculine. Oh, have I reached my exit yet? No. Your response is no. Keep going. You look at the next sign. Have I reached my exit? Oh, yes. And it generates the response to get off the freeway. So back and forth, the masculine and the feminine are always occurring. They're always at work. And so these are, and you know, these are all just principles of nature. Nobody invented these. These are civilizations have known about these for millennia, and they're just observations of nature. All these are observations of nature. Mind is fundamental. You know, correspondence. Everything is really. You study viruses in fish. Well, we got viruses in animals. We got viruses in people. The same thing is happening all over the place. Everything is related. But anyway, those are just, you know, some of the principles, and that's all we have.
That's all, folks. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Biddy-biddy-biddy. Right? You guys ever know that? Do you even know that?
I probably don't even know.
Probably
the
don't
show.
either.
Looney Tunes.
Buck
I
Rogers.
don't.
Looney Tunes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Looney Tunes, right?
And-
That
That
was
was-
Buck Rogers. You remember that little robot in Buck Rogers in the 20th century?
No.
Anyway,
I always thought it was Porky Pig.
maybe it is.
Biddy-biddy-biddy. That's all,
Yeah,
folks.
that too.
Something like that. Anyway. All right. Questions?
I've got a couple.
All right.
Do all three of you intend to be mummified in the same way?
Yes.
Do you intend to be entombed in this pyramid?
No, the pyramid is not for entombment. We have a mausoleum in the back. I don't know if you saw that thing with the big awning
Pavilion.
up above. It goes down, I don't know how long, how far?
It's like 15 feet underground.
Yeah. And there are crypts in there for the mummies. He will be placed in there. And all of these mummies will go down in there as well.
Will be. So you're saying, is there a specific date that you intend to bring these beings?
Speak up.
Sure. Okay.
You don't have to be so quiet.
Okay. Is there a specific date that you intend?
No.
To? Okay.
We don't know yet
Sure.
when that's going to happen, but eventually, yes, we will put them all.
Are you waiting for a specific time period?
No, just when we feel, when the spirit moves us.
Well, when we
Whatever that means,
when
right?
we realize that we're approaching the point where this is going to be too much for us to physically handle.
Where we're going to croak.
This is where you guys gotta, you know, come on,
Yeah.
join the club now. Let's get going here. We need some young muscle.
Yeah. We have some, but everybody, you know, moving on. We're all moving on at some
Yeah.
point in time.
So yeah, one day. I mean, yeah.
So I am forgetting the exact process in which you create the spirits. I did some research before getting here, but I remember that there is an inscription.
We do a spiritual will. Is that what you're talking
I
about?
think so.
Yes. Everyone is required to write a spiritual will to say where they want to go in their next destination. And what happens is once the deceased is placed here in a vat, it's placed in the vat for a number of days, and we read the spiritual will to them, reminding their essence, be calm, stay with us, we're going to guide you to your next place. It's just like, you know, sitting Shiva in the Jewish tradition or the Viaticum in the Catholic Church. It's very similar to that. The Tibetans do that for their Buddhists, their priests and everybody. So yeah, kind of similar.
Am I also right in remembering that you folks were the first to get a private alcohol license here
Yes.
in Salt Lake?
Well, after Brigham Young.
Yes.
But yes, we were the first bonded winery in Utah, and we had a devil of a time doing it.
I bet you did.
Oh yeah, they did not like that fact. And Corky had to convince them to allow us to do this and we had to have the building into. They didn't know what to do with us, basically. So what they said, okay, well, we're going to make you have milk code guidelines. So, you know, we had to have these big vats, stainless steel vats. We have about 3 of them in order to produce the wine, the nectar. We also had to have, you know, the bottling building over there is what we call it. That's where we would bottle the nectar, you know, and all that. But yes, it was a long process, and we're still.
And the thing is that I mean, at the beginning, Corky objected. The government said, you guys are making wine. We consider your nectars wine. And Corky says, this is not wine you buy in a liquor store. And they said, we don't care. You need to jump through the hoops. And then after jumping through all the hoops, they still said, well, you know. And so the federal government had to come in and say, hey, Utah, you need to give them a license, right?
Prohibition is gone, is done.
And so, and we've always objected since the beginning that this is not a wine,
Yeah.
like, you know, a table wine. This is something different, used in a different manner. It's that, and this is, again, nothing new. Nothing here is new. They talk about it and they use something similar in ancient cultures, right? Plants and essences. You know, you've got the mushroom churches coming up now using psilocybin for their
And ayahuasca.
practices. Ayahuasca.
And the Indians peyote,
Yeah.
you know, so, I mean, all cultures have, you know, different ways of helping their people, you know.
And the Egyptians ate the lotus, right? Also, is that something that?
I have no idea about that.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
I could be wrong.
I don't have a clue
don't know.
what the Egyptians did. They may have, and did that give them hallucinations? I have no clue. I don't know.
But
Anyway,
in the Egyptian hieroglyphs, they talk about the nectars, they call them the soma.
they call them soma.
Soma is what they call it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of peacock feathers around, and we all discovered your peacock. Is it as well, the bird back there? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Is there a certain significance to the animals that are in this building? The pyramid, those peacock feathers and the felines.
No.
Okay.
I mean, we just like to have our pets mummified, and we love the peacock feathers because we've had peacocks
They're very big.
over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And notice that we keep the eyes mostly, the eye of the peacock, because it has significance, you know, the eye, right? And yeah, so one landed here, a female, at the very start. And yeah, she is the mom bird that produced all the other birds, basically, pretty much. So.
Kids.
Yeah, and so, anyway, you know, it has been said that anywhere there is a master, a peacock will appear, which is kind of interesting. Osho, who we have read a lot of, he's a master too, had peacocks as well. So, yeah,
The male loses his feathers every year.
yeah. That's why we have so many feathers, because we've had several peacocks throughout the years, and every year they lose the feathers.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so we just put them around.
They lose them and then they grow back.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a question about the principle of gender. Considering what you were describing, that gender is so fluid, even in our own physical bodies. Do you consider people who transition genders to be particularly spiritual?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, no matter how you identify or what your body is, you have both aspects. You were born from a mom and a dad, and even transgenders were as well. And they have both aspects within them, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously they have a spirit. I mean, I don't think there is any doubt about that to me. Anyway.
Quirky once said, if you're going to be moving along in your spirituality, a big step is one has to be totally comfortable with who you are and be honest with who you are. If you're comfortable with who you are, it doesn't make any difference about all that other stuff, because that stuff's out there anyway for everything, right? The political views or whatever the hell it is. And so all that stuff's meaningless. And so as long as you can be totally comfortable with yourself, then you can really meditate in a space that allows you to see where you want to go and not be,
In an argument.
yeah, in an argument with it or get pushed around and let it take your joy away, Trampling around here in heaven was a bitch getting here. So obviously we've spent lifetimes doing all of that stuff, all that hard stuff. And so, we're chill.
We're just recycled.
The thing is that, everything.
I know that. Does that upset you?
No, that's it.
We're all recycled.
There's nothing that happens outside of these principles. When you get familiar with them, you can look at anything and see them involved. And if you look at things, everything is sort of on a spectrum, right? And you've got people, they identify male, they identify female, they identify bi, they're trans. It's all part of the spectrum, and it's all part of the picture.
It's part of your movement. Down that road, down that journey. Yeah. Just because somebody wants to do that doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean you have to judge them as being bad. Whatever. I mean, judgment is just a matter of perspective. And we all love to judge.
I thought I would ask a fairly personal question to you three, which is that through this process of meditation, has something maybe remarkable or paranormal taken place, either within your own mind, or have you maybe absorbed some sort of message? Does that make sense? There are some people who experience interesting things.
I'm not involved. I'm not interested in any of that. I don't care about my past lives. I'm here now. I don't care about any of that. I would rather concentrate on turning inward to my spirit and moving on down the road instead of worrying about all of that. I mean, yeah, some people do that. Wonderful. I'm not interested in doing that. I mean, I've had experiences here, but not paranormal
Okay.
or ghosts or anything like that. But I have had experiences that are very profound, but I don't talk about them. They're very personal. And so I don't even think about it. Yeah, I don't know about these two.
Well, I've had my experiences, and a lot of them are just personal. They're sort of insights. You have an aha moment. It's like that, but at a really much more profound level, right? Because what happens is your perspective changes. You see things, I liken to it going on a hike. At the bottom of the trail, you're limited to what you can see because you're at the bottom, right? But as you climb up the trail and go higher and then look back, all of a sudden this panorama opens up. You see things that you can't see at the bottom of the trail, right? And all of a sudden you're going, oh, you see something that you didn't see, and you go, wow. And it's kind of like that.
Am I right in understanding that the purpose of meditation is to find both inner peace and a broader perspective? Would that be a good
Yeah.
way to... Okay.
I mean, the thing too is, it can hopefully help you open your mind to more possibilities. You're not so confined to what you were taught. It's how it should be. I always, a lot of times in the class, I'll say, you've been programmed by everything around you. Your parents, your sister, your brother, your uncles, your aunts, your religion, your country, the government. I mean, TikTok. I mean, come on, all these influencers that try to get you hooked on their thing. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just observe it and not necessarily need it? Like it's that next hook out there, you know, taunting you. Yeah. So, yes, you know, I think it can help you, you know, gain a little different look at things. It has me, you know. Yeah.
And it
Well, you
helps
can-
you to discover your spirit. I mean, in the Summon book, it says that spiritual progression is the
Recognition, realization.
manifestation of the indwelling spirit. And that's what the meditation does.
For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Right? That's it. That was the one I was trying to find and figure out. Okay, we should close for tonight. I don't want to keep you guys too long.
I've been hogging all the questions.
Really? Come on, Cosette?
Cosette.
Cosette. She's French,
I am.
Canadian.
Yes.
Her dad is French Canadian.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever watch Murdoch Mysteries?
Oh gosh, I should. I don't know that.
Oh, it's a Canadian show.
Okay.
And the guy that's the main character is basically French. He speaks French.
Oh.
You know, not totally, but, you know, he does speak some French in it. You know, he knows how to speak it. But it's a really good show. It's about, yeah, it's back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they're making all these new gadgets. He's making all these, he's a scientist, basically, and he's interested in making all these different, he had,
He's a detective.
yeah, he's a
Police
detective, but he
Constantly.
creates these things to help surveil, you know, he it's really interesting. Yeah, and they have Tesla come in, and they have Alexander Graham Bell, and all these different people, you know. And
It's just a funny show,
it's a
but it's
fun
always a
show.
mystery.
It's a
to
real fun
try to
show.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
it's called Murdoch Mysteries. It's on Prime and probably in other channels as well. But
20
it's
some odd
it's
seasons,
fun.
so it's
Perfect.
Yeah.
you start at number one, you be going, and there's 20 episodes for every season. So
Yeah, yeah. So you can, yeah. Anyway,
It's
it's a
a
fun.
lot of laughs.
I took French in elementary school, God, how long?
Oh,
And there's one sentence I've always remembered. It's the only French I can remember. I don't dare say it.
okay.
Oh, well,
All right. Well, then why did you even say that?
I'll probably massacre it.
Do you speak French?
Very little, a long time ago.
Oh, your dad didn't teach you French?
No, unfortunately, we are too American for that.
Ah,
We've lost our
all right.
French Canadian roots.
Yeah. There was a good show, too, that was, of course, if you don't speak French, but it was about ballet dancers. And it was really interesting. It was so fun to see the dancers. It was, I can't think of the name now, but it was the word for like star, not star in the sky, but like a big star, ballerina, right? And it was really interesting because it was actually the Paris and New York ballet dancers that were dancing in it, and it was so fun to watch them dance. You know, when some of them were so good.
You're giving me good recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't know that when you came, did you? Anyway, we'll close. Thank you all for coming. We have a pamphlet, The First Encounter of Corky, and you can read that. It's best to hear it in his own words. I don't dare retell it. It's better when it comes from him. And then just some cards that have our websites and
Aren't
stuff.
these every week?
Yes. Well, new people, the second and fourth.
Okay.
The other nights, it's just we come and we have reading. You know, we read and just talk a little bit about it, stuff, and try and find the principles in whatever we're reading.